Hello, everybody. Good evening, good afternoon, depending upon what time zone you find yourselves in. Um, Before we begin, I would just ask, in case you were unable to access the message in the chat, that we're asking everyone if they wouldn't mind keeping themselves on mute for the duration of the program. We will be taking questions and answers at the end of our time or towards the end of our time together. So please know that there's space made and time made for that. Um, so make sure that you make note of whatever it is that you would like to ask. My name is Cara McMahon, and it gives me a great delight to welcome us together today. I am the executive director for St. Joseph Educational Ministries, and I have the great privilege of serving on the planning committee for the Sisters of St. Joseph Federation 375th celebration taking place this July. This session is being recorded, and there will be an opportunity for questions and answers, as I mentioned earlier. If you need captions, please make sure that you enable them on your Zoom. You should be able to do that. And questions can be actually sent through the chat at any time during the presentation, and we'll make note of that as we move along for the ending. If we can, Kristen Whitney Daniels is assisting with our PowerPoint slides, so bear with us if there are any moments of pause. This year's celebration event theme is Celebrate, Embrace, and Ignite. The planning committee came up with this theme as a way to obviously give great homage to the 375 years of all of the great work and the charism of the Sisters of St. Joseph. And so we're going to take just a moment of quiet, actually, for each of us to sit with the question, what does it mean to continue to live out the CSSJ charism of profound love of God and the dear neighbor without distinction, so that all may be one? I'll give us a moment of quiet. I hope that gives us some time to uh, just give us a moment of quiet. And everybody needs a moment of quiet these days with all that goes on around us. But to give us a sense of focus on why we're meeting in this particular year. And while we come together this evening, I'd like to note that we're joined by several of the planning committee, as well as some others who will have voice in this presentation. Mary Ellen Kane, the executive director of the Federation, as well as Kristen Whitney Daniels. And you can see before you the names of the other folks who have been hard workers on this upcoming event. And we come from a variety of backgrounds, and we come from all over the nation. Talk about unifying love and the ability that we have to begin planning in this mode, and then being able to provide all of us an ability to come together in person. So we have Stella D'Angelo, Sarah Baker, who works in communications and works on the committee for communications, George De Jesus, who joins me on the engagement committee, Jennifer Green, who will be working on hospitality. She's with us this evening. She's a local in Kansas City, for which the place and space that we will gather. Sister Betsy, who is also with us, I believe. She is on the prayer committee and working diligently on all of the liturgical needs. And Christian Murphy, who will be working on our justice action. The celebration begins July 18th and goes through Sunday the 20th. We meet in Kansas City, Missouri. And this event is open to the entire Charism family, as we say. I think it's really important that we highlight and encourage that what we mean by the Charism family is sisters, associates, agrégés, St. Joseph workers, folks who participate in Charism in Motion, Partners in Mission, the Association of the Colleges of the Sisters of St. Joseph, school alums, and anyone who feels a kinship and a relationship to the charism of the Sisters of St. Joseph. That's who is invited to come together and enrich this experience that will take place. The event will take place at the Sheraton Kansas City Hotel at Crown Center in Kansas City. We'll talk a little bit more about hotel details in a moment. On-site registration will be available each day, running from July 18th and conclude the evening of July 20th. We have pre-registration information coming up, so bear with me. The question of why attend the 375th celebration? And there's a variety of answers for that. But being a CSJ community, the first and foremost is always about relationships, that we come together in community, experience community firsthand. And so this gives us a great opportunity to do so. Each day will focus on a part of the theme of our event. For example, Friday night is the theme of celebration. Saturday, we will be really deepening our sense of embrace. And Sunday, we will ignite. And so each day really pays attention to that. And we will hear from inspiring keynote speakers and panelists who will join us throughout our time together. We will engage in meaningful conversation as always. I'm sure most of you have always experienced that at the Federation gatherings. And then deepen relationships and have the ability to build new ones. This community is always broadening our scope. And so it's joyful to be able to give everyone this opportunity to come together. We're committed to meeting accessibility needs, so be assured that it asks on registration about any access issues that folks might need, hearing devices, larger print, mobility in hotel rooms, all gender restrooms, etc. So those things are mentioned upon registration. As has been done in the past, we will also host a variety of affinity groups. Groups that we provide the opportunity to especially come together in support of one another. These are people who have particular identification or interest through their lives and identities. Affinity groups provide affirming and safe space for individuals to discuss their needs and challenges and successes. And we respectfully ask that only those folks who identify as people of color or the LGBTQIA plus community register for the respective affinity spaces. The people of color affinity space, only people who identify as Black, Indigenous, or people of color are expected. As well, in the LGBTQIA plus affinity space, this is an open space for anyone who identifies as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, questioning, gender fluid, gender non-binary, beyond labels, or without. As well, we'll have the opportunity to provide 12-step meetings each day of the event. This is not an affinity group that will be mentioned on the registration form, obviously in the continued protection of anonymity and in support of the ongoing journey of the folks who do attend the 12-step meetings. But again, those will be made available each day of the gathering. As I mentioned before, we'll be meeting at the beautiful Sheraton Kansas City Hotel at Crown Center. You see a lovely image before you. Some of the important details about the Sheraton Kansas City Hotel is the price is $185.23 per night. That does include taxes. You'll have the option of a king or two queen beds and no more than 4 people to a room. There's a discounted rate available from Tuesday, July 15th until Wednesday, July 23rd, pending hotel availability. So, obviously, as a planning committee, we really encourage and suggest that folks register early. Your hotel room will be reserved through the registration site, so you will need to provide a credit card during registration. Your reservation request will be sent to the hotel, and you will receive a hotel confirmation approximately 3 weeks prior to the start of the program. If there's any issues with your reservation request, you will be contacted by Nix Management. Nix Management is the company that the Federation is working with to provide this registration access, as well as all the details to the gathering while in Kansas City. We have some more images of the beautiful site that we will be meeting at. It's delightful to obviously be able to come together, but to be able to see the beautiful surroundings that we'll be in as well. And the Sheraton has really been able to accommodate all of the needs that we have to make this happen. We've invited some really wonderful people to join us during this time. And this year we will be joined by an MC, Meredith Lynch. Meredith is a content creator, writer, and comedian known for her engaging commentary on popular culture. She credits her success and her growing content space to her CSJ schooling, which began at Arlington Catholic High School and continued at Regis College, where she received a BA in Communications. Beginning in 2020, she served Mount St. Mary's University in Los Angeles for almost 5 years as the assistant director for the CSJ Institute. Currently, Meredith is completing her MFA in creative writing at Mount St. Mary's while continuing content creation and consulting brands and individuals on social media strategy. Her podcast, Oddly Specific, features important conversations around pop culture and finance through the lens of closing the wealth gap. Recent guests include Senator Elizabeth Warren, Senator Ed Markey, and Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Gretchen Morgensen. Meredith lives in Los Angeles. She's a California baby like me, with her husband and her rescue dog. We will also be joined by wonderful keynote speakers. On Friday evening, our focus and theme will be on Celebrate. And we have the wonderful opportunity to be joined by Ryan Murphy, who's a sociology professor at Chestnut Hill College. Dr. Murphy, Ryan, is an assistant professor of sociology and mission integration coordinator for the Sisters of St. Joseph of Philadelphia. Ryan's research interests are in women religious, social stratification, gender and sexuality, and social determinants of health. He published articles in sociology, religious studies, and history academic journals. Ryan will be tag teaming with Dr. Ann McElhaney Johnson. Dr. McElhaney Johnson is the 12th president of Mount St. Mary's University in Los Angeles. With over 30 years of experience, she's a thought leader for the advancement of women and a champion for innovative teaching and learning. She has led and implemented strategic vision for Mount St. Mary's University that fosters a culture of inclusiveness and excellence. Their discussion on Friday evening will celebrate and focus on the changing needs of the times throughout the CSSJ history and how sisters, associates, and partners in mission adapt to respond to these challenges. We look forward to welcoming both Ryan and Ann the evening that we begin our journey at our gathering. Our Saturday speaker and theme of embrace, we have the unique pleasure of welcoming Elizabeth Johnson to join us. I'm sure that it will be a really wonderful talk, obviously. And she'll be discussing embracing the charism and One Earth community. And if you don't already know, Sister Elizabeth, or apparently as she goes by Beth Johnson, she's a distinguished professor of theology emerita at Fordham University in New York. She was also the former president of the Catholic Theological Society of America. The most recent of her award-winning books is Come, Have Breakfast, Meditations on God and the Earth, from which this celebratory presentation is taken, among many other books. And if you haven't read one as of yet, I would encourage you to do so before we come together in July. She's just a prophetic voice. In between Saturday and Sunday, we have other really wonderful opportunities that we hope everybody will enjoy that we're going to provide. There's a lot of art focus this year, and we have invited Matthew LaBanca to join us. Matthew is an actor performer and has developed a one-man show written and performed by Matthew. It speaks about Matthew's true life experience that causes a crisis of faith, not only for himself, but for his entire community. The play is based on the real life story of Broadway actor and playwright Matthew. It's called Communion. It spotlights themes of delusion, spiritual trauma, and hope, reminding those who would use religion to discriminate that we are called to love one another. Matthew's a renowned actor who made his Broadway debut with the Mel Brooks musical Young Frankenstein, where he covered the title role and stepped in during previews. He has since appeared on Broadway in White Christmas, as well as the 2019 Tony Award-winning play A Christmas Carol. In addition to performing, Matthew is a proud New York City elementary music teacher at PS 151 in Woodside, Queens. He's deeply connected to the Sisters of St. Joseph of Brentwood, and he thanks them for this show and for their support. And we're really lucky to have Matthew agree to join us in Kansas City this year. We'll also be joined by another artist in residence, Danielle Rossi. Danielle is the director of the Art Studio program at Cristo Rey Philadelphia High School and serves as an adjunct faculty member at Chestnut Hill College. Danielle is an associate of the Sisters of St. Joseph of Philadelphia. She supervises student teachers and art therapy interns through a partnership with Temple University's Tyler School of Art and Design. Danielle's mission has shifted from teaching the elements and principles of design to creating spaces in the art studio that feel like home and put students in the present moment. From this place of inner calm, the art education space becomes one of mark making, meaning making, and grace seeking for students to embrace a posture of lifelong makers of art in whatever form that may take. Danielle is committed to the mission that for students who live amid a myriad of challenges, education is the most dependable form of freedom. Danielle lives in Conshohocken with her husband, Mike, and 4 teenagers who love big Italian dinners and every moment they get to the Jersey Shore. And I don't know how Danielle Rossi finds 48 hours in every 24 with 4 teenagers and all of what she does to serve the art community of Philadelphia. But it will be really exciting that she's carved out space to join us this year. On Sunday, we'll focus on our call to justice. And I'll let Kristen talk about the theme of Ignite.
I'm tagging in a little bit for Christian Murphy, who is our Justice Committee chair. But as you can imagine, we have been facing some changing times, even just in the last 3 weeks. And so to meet this moment of fluidity and being responsive of the times, while also honoring that since 1650, the Sisters of St. Joseph have been committed to walking with the most poor and marginalized. The action's going to look a little different this year as it has in past conferences. And we will continue to live in a world that each day looks different than years past. And as we get closer to the celebration, we'll offer more specifics of what this Ignite Justice action will look like. But for now, we're inviting you to reflect on the sentiment of claiming the fire of Mother St. John Fontbonne, something that the Justice Committee has really found inspiration in these times. And at the celebration, we're going to be offering unique opportunities to claim this fire of justice in ways that will be mindful of our current world and the ever-changing dynamics of justice work. Each day offers new actions and new neighbors to advocate with.
So hopefully that gives everyone a sense of the content of our days together and the voices from whom we have the great privilege to hear from. But then we have the nitty-gritty and all of the details that we hope will be helpful to you in your process of considering registration and planning ahead. So registration opens Tuesday, February 18th. Come one, come all. Just don't come all at the same time and crash any websites. But I don't think that will actually be a problem. Well, the link will be available on the U.S. Federation website beginning on February 18th, and there will be an email that is sent out. Registration will happen solely through the NICS website, who will also be responsible for answering any of the questions that you might have about the registration process upon your beginning to do so. Early bird registration ends Friday, April 25th. But that's a great amount of time to be able to make sure that you get in on the early bird special. All the fee includes breakfasts, lunches, and the final banquet dinner. We will send out membership discount codes on the 18th so that you have everything that you need in order to begin registration on the first day that it's available. The registration website looks something similar to what you see right in front of you. This is the home page, and we're just showing it to you now so that when it comes up for your registration, this will look familiar to you and you know that you're headed in the right direction. These are the registration costs. So the early bird, which is available again till April 25th, is $575 for dues paying members. The regular cost after April 25th will be $625. Non-dues paying members, the early bird special will be $675. And following April 25th, the regular cost, $725. The hotel will be paid through the same website that you register on. You can pay by credit card or by check, but the preference is by credit card if you're able to make that happen and plan ahead. However, all checks, which will be sent to the hotel, must be received by June 20th, or your registration will be canceled. So you have to make sure that you meet that deadline. Religious communities can send mass checks if needed. And all handled via NICS. We won't be able to answer questions, unfortunately. So again, that goes through this third-party system. Dues paying members include all U.S. Sisters of St. Joseph, as well as those lay partners who have paid to be a member. Early bird ends again April 25th. And there will be, even though all of us look forward to coming together, it's not necessarily that all can come together in person. And so we want to make sure that each person feels included in this gathering. We will have virtual opportunities, and I'll let Kristen sort of speak about that.
Thanks, Cara. The virtual option is something that we helped develop last time at Event 2022. It was a great success, but we also learned some lessons. And some of the big changes I think to highlight are one, that you will still be able to see all of the talks and all of the keynotes We are going to have breakout sessions during lunch. Those will not be able to be seen because it just costs a lot of extra money to be able to do that from different areas. You'll see if you're going in person that we have a very big setup essentially to make sure that whatever we're seeing in the room can be cast back to you in the communities. One thing that we heard loud and clear is that people want to be in breakout rooms. People want to have the same discussions that we're having at the tables in person. And so if you register as an individual, you'll see the individual slash family household tag up at the top. You can be sorted into a room essentially. And that will be through Zoom. We'll talk through the processes as time gets closer. We're working with the Knicks management team as well as an AV professional team to make sure that that goes off seamlessly. But we also have another option that I think is really good for groups. So we're thinking mother houses, maybe assisted living, watch parties at a college. These are all groups that we have had in the past. This is based on how many people you anticipate attending. So we have a smaller option. So say it's, a community house, 6 to 15 people, a smaller group, and then more than 16 people we have. We'll also have the mass and the prayers. We have a welcoming ritual that will also happen. All of those will be live streamed. And I just want to make this very clear because this has come up. The virtual links cannot be shared or you will be kicked off. So it's essentially one link for viewing. So if you register for those groups, you're not getting 2 to 5 links or 6 to 15 links. You're getting one link for that group to view together. If there's any other access needs that folks may have come up, I really encourage people to contact us. You will register through the same website that all the other registration is happening in. Obviously, the hotel will not pop up, but there will be other options to put in some of your access needs because we really want this to feel as holistic as possible, as community driven as possible, because just because you can't make it in person does not mean you're not a part of this much wider community. You may have noticed that there is the term membership, dues paying members. And this is confusing for a few reasons, because one, when we say you're a member of the Federation, we do mean that everyone is a member of the Federation in the sense that we are a member of this large Joseph family. However, we also have something called dues paying members. And that is something that started back in 2018, 2019 as a way to support the Federation. And so there are certain benefits to joining as a member. And one of those benefits is having a discount for events. So a couple of slides back, you could see that there is $100 difference between registering as a member versus a non-member. It's a pretty steep discount, I would think, and then you get your membership for a year. So if you are already a member, we thank you, we appreciate you. You will be getting a code so that you can get that discount on the 18th. If you are not a member, but want to become a dues paying member, please do this prior to registering for the event. It would be very, very difficult to refund people based on that $100. And so if you're thinking about it, if you're considering it, you have time to register. If you're not sure if you want to become a member, you have a little bit of time to figure that out. But as soon as we do get your registration for the membership, we will send you the code so that you can get that discount. The membership costs are $50 for an individual, $75 for a family. So in that scenario, we think maybe of partners, husband and wife, that are both associates, that would be a great membership. And then we have an institution membership. So this is for essentially our sponsored ministries. Some of our colleges are institutional members, and they get a certain number of seats. So based on those number of seats will be the number of codes you get. And you can go on our website. We're going to drop all the links at the end. You'll have access to it. We have something on our website that says become a member. You can find all of that information there. Just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. If you don't receive a code and you are a member, or you need to check whether you're still a member, the membership renews every year. You can email us at our general info@cssjfed.org. And that brings us to scholarships, as we want as many people to attend as possible. And we know that it's not a nominal amount that we're asking. We do think there's a lot included for the registration cost that we're asking, but we know that's not doable for everyone. And so just as we did for Event 2022, we will offer a limited number of scholarships. These will be open until April 21st and are accepted on a rolling basis, which means we suggest you apply early, because once the funds run out, we don't anticipate having a lot more funds. Though we do have an option on registration that if you do want to donate, all of the money collected for that will go specifically and only to scholarships. So if you feel so inclined, that money will go to help others to be here. What we kind of envision these funds for, it's basically to increase the number of lay partners and lay ministers to attend. In the past, you may have noticed that it is mainly sister-based, and honoring the future of the Federation, we want to bring more people into the fold. The scholarships are open only to non-sisters, and the reason for that is most of the communities pay for their sisters to attend. So we're prioritizing young and diverse audiences who have less access to funds, but we are open to other groups. This is not, there's no means-based testing. We're not going to ask for any forms. It's not like that. It's basically, if you feel that you need this, you can apply for it. The scholarships will cover the registration cost if that is what you need covered. And then there is a additional limited stipend that can be used for hotel and travel costs. So that will be up to $750 total for both the registration and the limited stipend. So the limited stipend is doing mental math, I think it's about like $175 a person. That is the max that can be given. The scholarship application's now live. We do ask that if you apply for a scholarship, you will hear back from us right away. I mean, give us like a couple days just in case something busy is going on, but I'm keeping track of that, and we're pretty much giving answers as soon as possible, because we know that people want to plan their flights, want to plan their hotels, want to register, get that on the calendar. We do hope that those who apply do have a personal investment in the Sisters of St. Joseph and our mission and our charism. For us, that could look so many different ways, and does look so many different ways of how we associate with the charism. But we also hope that whatever experience is gained at this celebration event is something that they can bring back to their community, whether it's giving a conversation, leading a talk about some of the stuff that has been presented, possibly if any of our scholarship ease have talents in social media or photography or videography, offering some of those talents. Like I said, these will be open till April 21st, which is right up to the date of the early bird membership. After that, it gets a little bit trickier to be honoring that. And if you have any questions, do reach out to us. If there's special funding requests, please, we can have a conversation. The funds are not for groups, though, because we have had some groups and congregations reach out. These are basically for individuals. And Cara, I'll pass it back to you.
Great, thanks, Kristen. Among the variety of opportunities, as you all know, when we come together during these days, there will be enriching liturgy and prayer that we join together. for as well as the speakers and the creative and artistic expressions. But another element to our time together is being offered through lunch presentations. And this gives us, there are so many people in this charism who are invested in such a variety of things that they minister to, minister at, or issues that they're really committed to that they would love to share. And so lunch presentations gives us an opportunity to widen the circle of voices that we get to hear from. And so, in doing so, we invite folks to submit a potential presentation idea. Presentations will be done during the lunch hour. There will only be a select number of presentations that will happen both Saturday and Sunday. But it will be a great opportunity given to all of us to come together to meet and discuss topics of great interest and really deepen our sense of commitment to whether it's justice matters or theological matters. There's such a variety of topics that are submitted, and they're wonderful opportunities. So they'll take place during the lunch hours. There's only a select number of seats that we can provide each day, and that will be or a select number of applications that we can take for each day. So not every application, unfortunately, will be selected. However, things to keep in mind if folks have an interest in submitting an application is that the presentation should be 30 to 45 minutes long. It's a volunteer opportunity, so they're not marketing presentations, if you will, but really rather an opportunity to deepen the knowledge of others and in their sharing. The presentations will not be live streamed, and presenters must be in person. Presenters must meet with Federation staff to discuss the content prior to the event. But what an opportunity to really further great conversations. We've already had some submissions, if you can believe it or not, and they're really rich topics. So it's really exciting to think of the ways in which we can widen the circle of what we're able to come together and pay attention to in the great CSSJ legacy. In preparation for the gathering, not only do we have lunchtime preparations during our gathering, but we have lifelong transformation listening sessions, as they are called. These, in preparation for the event, the U.S. and Canadian Federation's Lifelong Transformation Committee is holding a series of listening sessions. These are, we've had one already, but there are two more available coming up. And those sessions are available, the information is available on the Federation website. All on or near important CSSJ historical dates, whether it's St. Joseph's Day or in St. Joseph the Worker. They're on a variety of different topics, as you can see before you. And it's not necessary to attend per se, but it does help foster more conversations in preparation for our time together. So as you'll see coming up on March 18th, we have Dreaming the Little Design Anew. And then that's followed on May 1st with Ready for Any Good Work, walking one with in solidarity. I think they're obviously wonderful Federation programming in collaboration with the Canadian Federation. And so hopefully those will be really energizing as we ready ourselves for the big July dates. There are some really important website links for you to perhaps pay attention to. And again, all of this is really housed on the Federation website, so never fear. But for the time being, you can see the 375th celebration webpage. There's obviously the dues membership that Kristen mentioned earlier, as well as the scholarship application. Any registration questions, you can write down that email address that you see before you, mwelter@nixmeetings.com, because again, any registration questions has to go to that third party piece at Nix. And then two, if you have any other celebration questions, you can email the Federation at info@cssjfed.org. And that concludes all of our information that we'd like to provide for you as the planning committee. But please know it's so exciting to think about all of us being able to join together in July and to celebrate, embrace, and ignite. We're really looking forward to having you join us. So I will turn it over to Kristen to facilitate any questions and answers that you might have.
Thanks, Carl. Thank you for that very informative presentation. I have some questions in the chat already. Feel free to drop any other questions y'all might have. You also can come off mic after we're finished with the ones that we received. The first one I got is, can folks become members now and save on their registrations? And the answer is yes. You can register right now, right after this, whenever works for you, and we will be able to give you the discount code. And we also got the question, is there separate registration for commuters? We do know that there will be some folks from the Kansas City area. And in that case, you will register, as we will all register, and then you just will not do the registration for the hotel. That will be just something that you don't have to fill out. The time for the listening sessions are all 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Those are all in the evening. I think the 18th, March 18th, and then May 1st. Community is paying for our registration, but I need to pay for the hotel myself. What is the best way to do that? That is a great question. If possible, if you can get reimbursed for that, I think that would probably be the easiest way to streamline things, because the credit card situation is much easier and prevents fraud than going through checks. We have had issues with checks in the past, as have many. And I know that Nix has seen an uptick in check fraud as well. So if there's any way to get reimbursed from your community for the registration, and then you can, get the registration and the hotel at the same time. If that's not the case, that might be a Nix management question, actually, to figure out the best way to do that. Can a group of agrégés from a community be considered an institutional group membership? Unfortunately, no. So any groups of associates, agrégés from a particular community, that is not considered an institution. You're an individual who relates to the Federation. The institutions are more for institutions. So we're thinking organizations like our colleges and universities. The CSJ Institute is putting them on blast here, but they're one of our institutional members. Some of our high schools are institutional members. And this is basically to say, not everybody from that school is going to become a member, but they so believe in our mission that they want to be a part of this furthering conversation. And I didn't mention this before, but this is one of the more exciting developments out of our expanded membership program. But because we have hit a certain threshold of members, we were actually able to add our first expanded membership designee onto our Federation board, which means that the voice of non-sisters for the very first time is actually on our board in direction setting for the future. And so once we hit certain thresholds of numbers, the more people we have apply, the more people we can have on that board, up to 3 people, which is really exciting and can really change the direction of the Federation. Are there any questions that people, will there be booths to visit to sell things like artwork, or booths exhibiting ministries in which sisters engage? So things are going to be a little bit different than how we've done it in the past. I know LCWR has a very big marketplace. The space, we have to get unique a little bit with the space at Kansas City. And so in the foyer of the actual conference room that we'll be staying in, there will be tables where people can market. Most of those are going to people who are sponsors. So we have information on the website. If you belong to an organization or business that would like to sponsor the Federation, we are still looking for sponsors to help underwrite some of the costs of this event. It's not cheap to run an event of this size. And so, one of the perks for that is having materials. I don't think we're going to be having things so much like selling stuff. There will be likely an opportunity to purchase some of the work from our artists in residence. We're still figuring out what that looks like, but from what I've seen already, it is very exciting and unlike any artwork you have ever seen. And I genuinely mean this. I know we have like a ton of artists in the room, but I haven't seen anybody do the charism on a pair of Nike Dunks yet. So I think it's a first. I could be wrong. Um, if you're doing that out there, let me know. But that kind of stuff might be available. But the usual sort of artwork likely will not. We'll have more information available about the marketplace when that does become available. We're trying to give a little bit of leeway to the registration before we start inundating you with more information. So that will be probably March or April when we'll let folks know about that. I do want to say that there will be an app available for folks. It's not available yet, but it will be available for folks who are registered either in person or virtually, either way, but it'll be a way to house all of this information in one place. These are all really great questions, and I'm going to actually write these down for tomorrow too, because I think these will pop up as well. Anyone like to come off mute now and ask a question? Okay. I know there will be questions that pop up in the next few weeks. Registration already opens in a week, which is unbelievable. We've been planning on this for 2 years now. So it's hard to believe that this is already coming up. We are so excited. So as questions do come up, please let us know. I do see some members from our international community here. There is an option for folks who English is not their first language to possibly offer interpretation services. I think that largely depends on the number of people we get speaking or whatever their first language is, but just know that there is an option available on the registration link because we do have folks from our international communities who, God willing, will be able to get visas and come to Kansas City and be with us in person. Cynthia.
Christine, thank you so much. I'm just curious. The other year, some of the sisters CSSJs from Canada and the United States met in Chicago. I was wondering if there's any information or sharing yet to see if they're meeting before the conference is starting. I'm curious.
Yeah, I don't know if the under 70 group has plans yet, but I know that there has been some outreach. And I'm sure that they will communicate that back to the group. If that is something of interest, I strongly encourage you to reach out to the leaders of that group to say that this is available. Folks will have the opportunity to meet Thursday and or Friday before the event starts in the evening on the 18th. I do know the communicators, the justice folks, tending the flame have all expressed interest and meeting. So I hope that they'll be meeting there.
as have the associates.
Oh, Sister Suzanne already put in, we will be getting in contact with info, just waited for this meeting to then plan our gathering. So there you go. You get answers in real time here. We deliver. But if you are part of another group, say you do organize the agrégés or you do organize associates, and that's of interest, email us at info@cssjfed.org. All right. So I think this is it. If you have questions that you didn't want to ask in front of the full group, we'll stay on a little bit here. And we will send out the slides and we will send out all the links. So you don't have to have all of our emails memorized and all of the links memorized. Give us a day or two after, because we're doing this in about 14 hours from now. We're doing another session for the lunch crowd. And we'll send it out to both groups altogether. Well, thank you everyone for being here. Thank you, Cara, for being our fearless leader tonight, and for everybody else on the committee who is here, Betsy, Mary Ellen, Jenny. We thank you so much for being here, and we'll be in touch soon.